So you've heard that there's a new counseling form that just replaced the old one that's been around for about 40 years. So stay tuned because I'm going to talk to you about it and I'm going to walk you through it and I'm going to show you all the good things that the Army has done.
Roger Sar'nt!
All right, so welcome back to Roger Sar'nt, and today we're going to be discussing Army counseling. We're going to be discussing the new counseling form, and I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks on like characteristics of counseling and like the 4-stage counseling process as well, just so you can understand the things that you need to do to be successful with the counseling process itself. What is counseling? Counseling is the process used by leaders to review with subordinates, the subordinates' demonstrated performance and potential. That's word for word out of the book. But what does that actually mean? All that means is that that you're going to capture a specific amount of time in which the soldier performed, and you're going to document it. So as I said earlier, there is a new DA form 4856. And this is a monumental kind of like achievement for the Army because the last form hadn't been updated for a little bit over 40 years. So this is huge. And the fact that the Army has done this, it shows that they're moving in the right direction. With the new form, it kind of looks like it reminds me of an NCOER support form type thing because it outlines everything that you need to discuss with your troop. So that's the good thing about that. Let's first talk about a couple things that we need to understand on on what to implement in order to be a good counselor. So the first thing we're going to talk about are the 5 characteristics of counseling: purpose, flexibility, respect, communication, and support. So when it comes to purpose, you have to identify what the purpose is on counseling an individual, whether it's an event, whether it's professional growth, whatever it is, you identify it and then you start preparing for the counseling. Another thing is the flexibility. When it comes to counseling, not all soldiers are the same. And we must understand that when we are about to counsel that specific soldier. Every person is an individual, right? Every individual has their own personality, their own characteristics, values, and beliefs. And we need to keep that in mind when we're discussing a counseling event with that soldier. And the next one is respect. Need I say anything about that? Respect is a two-way street, right? You give me respect, I give you respect. And some people feel that if they're not given respect, that they don't have to respect back. Kind of debatable, but me as an individual, my morals say I have to respect, so I tend to respect either or because I don't want to stoop down to anyone's level. So when it comes to counseling, you have to respect the individual's wants, needs, values, and beliefs. So that's going to just make the counseling process a lot easier. And then communication. When it comes to communication, we have to understand that communication is a two-way street. If you're counseling a troop and you're the only one talking, then you're never going to hear their side, their wants, their values, their beliefs, what it is their goals are. It's just you telling them what they need to do. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some instances in which we just need to just give a straight counseling and there's very minimal exchange, probably just getting some facts and that's about it. But overall, a counseling session is a two-way street. And the next one is support. Support is pretty much at the end of the counseling, what am I doing for you as a leader? How am I assisting you rectify that deficiency that you have? There's 4 stages to a counseling process. So you just don't willy-nilly just say, oh, I'm going to counsel someone and just go through it. I mean, you can, but it's not going to be very effective. The Army has regulations in which they assist you with this so you can just read that reg, follow it step by step, and have a successful counseling. So the first one is going to be identify the need for counseling. The next one is prepare for the counseling, conduct the counseling, and then the follow-up. So if you identify the need for counseling, it's kind of like purpose. What am I counseling this individual for? What did this individual do to deserve this counseling? The next one is going to be prepare for the counseling. And this is not only you preparing for the counseling, it's preparing the individual about to be counseled. So you're going to select a suitable place. You'll notify the subordinate well in advance. You outline your counseling and then you conduct it, right? The best thing, which is the last one, which is the most important one, is identifying the right atmosphere for that counseling. If you go in there hot, the soldier's not going to be receptive. So we have to keep that in mind when we actually conduct the counseling. want to make the soldier nice and comfortable so they receive the message and they also participate in the counseling. The next one is going to be conduct the counseling. So you open the session, talk about what it is. At the end, you just record the session. Then the last one is going to be the follow-up. The follow-up is the most important part of the counseling because this is going to be where you are going to identify if your plan of action actually worked. So if I have an individual in which I have a plan of action for them and they agree to that plan of action, because when they sign their name on the counseling, when you record the session, they sign their name, they're agreeing to the plan of action. The follow-up would be if I give that individual 30 days. Let's say I say I want you to enroll in some correspondence courses or enroll into university, right? Take college courses. If I give you 30 days and you enroll into the course, then you have met that goal. So the follow-up would be the individual did actually get a chance to do what it is he was directed or he or she were directed to do. And then we can close the counseling out. Last thing I want to say just before I get into the counseling, the new counseling is the Army got it right. Here we have the new 4856 developmental counseling form. And this is dated March of 2023. So just like the old counseling, you have your administrative data. You also have your background information. But if you look at the background information, it says the purpose of the counseling. Now, depending on which block you check on, that's going to dictate what the counseling looks like. And you'll see in a second. But if we look at it, the purpose of the counseling, they have the approach. So you either have a directive, combined, or non-directive. You have the type of counseling. Is it a general form? Is it a professional growth counseling? Is it a performance counseling? Is it an event-oriented counseling? And this one in particular is a performance counseling. And this counseling, they added training data, which is going to show your ACFT scores, your GT scores, which is huge because if your GT score is less than 100, you should probably be taking the fast class and trying to get that over a 110, because when you have a 110 GT score, that's when pretty much all the doors open for you. You qualify for, if you want to go any school, Ranger, Green and Gold, warrant officer, whatever it is that you're trying to do with your career, a 110 will get you in the door. The higher, the better, but it still gets you there. It has your height, your weight, weapons qualification, what type of weapon that you're shooting, what score you got, and also has your distance learning course status. So if you're at DLC 4, it'll tell you right there. And then last but not least, it has the ESB, EIB, EFMB. So since about 5 years ago, correct me if I'm wrong, but about 5 years ago, the Army implemented the expert soldier badge because you only had the expert infantry and the expert field medical badge. So those were the only two entities in which were able to distinguish themselves in their field. But now the Army said, you know what? They have expert soldier badge. So everyone other than those two previous entities are able now to distinguish themselves amongst their peers. So it has a check there. Do they have it? Do they not have it? So with this counseling in particular, it has the performance option checked. So when you look at it, the key points of discussion now turn into, they have key points from 1 through 8, and it says, do they exhibit Army values? What are their technical and tactical proficiencies? Their communication? Is it effective? Do they exhibit effort? Exhibit personal discipline? Like on and on and on. So you'll see, depending on what you select, those are the options in which you're going to write about. So the next one is going to be, it has the option event oriented on the purpose. And then on the event, it says it's a promotion counseling. So if you noticed from the previous one, how it switches now the summary of counseling, the key points of discussion are 3. You have the service members. Does the service member meet eligibility of time and service, time and grade? And then you would address that. And then it also has what zones are they in and the considerations. You would address that. And then at the bottom, it says it identifies shortcomings. What can they do better in order to get promoted? So the leader, what they need to do is just look into the regulations, provide this information, and then off of their experience and obviously off of their MOS requirements, Army requirements, give them a plan of action in order to get promoted. Like this, the Army hit the nail on the head with this one. The next one is going to be event oriented, but it's an R&I counseling, so reception and integration. And this is going to have 5 points of discussion. It's going to have the establishment of the golden triangle. This is where the leader contacts family members, and then they establish communication with them. And then you have the organizational history structure. So this is going to tell you like who's in charge of you, like your support channel, key leader information, key points of discussion number 3, soldier like soldier programs, soldier of the month, boss, SFRG. Before, a lot of individuals, including myself, we would get a reception and integration counseling mixed with an initial counseling. The last one is going to be the professional growth. And now you're going to see 5 bullet points again, but now we're going to talk about civilian or military education. We're going to talk about future assignments, special programs, like what you need to do, like reenlistment options. What do you need to do in order to get better as a leader? We're going to talk about the soldier strengths, weaknesses of the with the Army values. We're going to talk about the leaders' identified strength and weaknesses, right? So the soldiers are going to identify their own, because they're, like I said, is a two-way communication. So therefore, soldiers going to identify what they think they're deficient at, and then the leader is also going to do that. And then, of course, you're going to have your short-term and long-term goals. This revamp is going to be a lot easier for leaders to conduct these counselings, because a lot of the times is what stopped leaders was what to put in there. Like they have a general structure, but now you have what I need to put in there. All I need to do is address what I see and compare it to the regulation and put it in there, and get the soldiers in a better position to get promoted, in a better position to receive them when they come to the unit. And then if they have some type of substandard behavior, you can address it a lot easier. I think this has been the best change so far. I mean, black socks were cool, but this right here is actually going to help the soldier progress and assist the leaders in helping the soldiers progress. All right, so my personal opinion on counseling itself, I think too many leaders are not counseling troops. I think it came to a point in which the troop accepted the leader not counseling them, and the troop is scared to make the leader counsel them, because it's the soldiers' right to get counseled. They supposed to get counseled monthly at bare minimum. A lot of leaders, we're not counseling the troops as we're supposed to. I think it also assists with tracking promotions. So let's say, for instance, if I have everything documented, it makes it a lot easier for when the soldier is up for promotion, because I have concrete evidence in which I have discussed with the soldier, and the soldier acknowledges it because they signed it. And then I could present this to my leadership and say, hey, I want this individual to go to the board, and these are my reasons right here. Read this packet. It also assists for when soldiers are up for awards or PCS awards. If I want to write a soldier an award, I can go back and look at everything they've done, and I can substantiate that. And then at the end of the day, for correcting behaviors or keeping track of behaviors, it helps. At bare minimum, another thing is, at bare minimum, we have very little time when we're in the Army. So at least once a month, I can sit down with my leader and I can have that one-on-one conversation at least once a month. Another thing that I think it does, it outlines what the leader's expectations are of you. There's a clear-cut, no BS. This is what I think you need to do in order to get promoted. This is what I think you need to do in order to be a good soldier. And it's straight from the horse's mouth. Another thing that it does, it gives a leader an insight of the troop's goal. There's nothing worse than being a junior soldier and your leader is not listening to you. You're saying that I want to do civilian education, and they're pushing you to do all this hua, hua, hua. Or I want to do a lot of hua, hua stuff, and my leader's pushing me to civilian education. It just doesn't work. It's like oil and water. It allows me to provide a clear outline of the soldier's path with the soldier's input. All right, guys. So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the new counseling form as much as I do. Thank you guys for showing up. Do me a favor, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, do all that cool stuff. Follow me on the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. If you have any suggestions or you want me to cover a topic, go ahead and email me at rogersarnt@gmail.com. So last thing I want to leave you guys is with, as we always say, you don't have to embrace the suck if you got the right tools in your ruck. I'm Sar'nt First Class Cruise, and I'm out.
Roger Sar'nt!